I'm Dwayne Brummett. He's Ali Alberigo, and this is the School Owner Talk podcast. Hello again, Dwayne Brummett here with Ali Alberigo, SchoolOwnerTalk.com. Ali, good to be with you, sir.
Hey, Dwayne, how are you? Great to be with you as well.
Yeah, can you check and see if we are Facebook Live?
I don't think we are. I just checked a few times. Let me check one last time. I refreshed. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be live.
Okay, so not a problem. We got to work around, at least that's what we were told, so that we can get it on Facebook. So I'm just going to do... grab the YouTube live that is actually live right now, and should be able to actually throw the code in there so that we can chat.
Okay, awesome. All this technology.
Let's hope that it works, right?
Yeah, that's weird.
So it's crazy.
Let me know when it's done, and then everyone who's listening to us either on YouTube or live somewhere else, or at a later date on the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. We'll
and obviously if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might want to do that. That might give you some better information, some quick information as well. Not better, but so as I try to get this up, today's topic is 'tis the season of separation. 'Tis the season of separation. And to give you a little backdrop, to what we're going to be talking about, I had listened to a podcast by, have you ever heard of Ed Mylett?
I have not.
And he was talking about how at the end of the year, most people and business owners like us, they take a lot of time off. Now, I don't know about you, but I take some time off. Do you?
I definitely try to. Yeah, and I do.
Okay. And he was talking about that, this is the time of year that we actually can, here we are. Check this out. Let's shareable links. All right. So this is, this really is the time of the year that we can use to separate ourselves from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was pretty interesting with regards to that concept of separating yourself.
Right.
Boy, this is not letting me grab this. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, view from live control room. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. Well, either way, we can post it later if I can't get it up. And
I will. I can go to the. I think we can share. I'm not sure if sharing the live link would work, but I'm going to try that and post that in our Facebook page.
Yeah, you have to do the embed code. That's the problem. We can post. Aha! Here we are. You're gonna hear me. Yeah, hold on. All right. Now I think I got it. Let me go to our YouTube page, our Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm on the Facebook page. It doesn't seem to be on.
Yep. Give me a quick second. So,
okay.
Anyways, the whole idea is that we want to separate ourselves from everybody else and not be like everyone else with regards to taking a break. Or, I mean, it's okay to take a break, but taking a break that really is going to put us backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I've done that before where I've taken long breaks, and so it's not coming up on the live. I must not do this right. Anyways, we can throw the replay up later.
Yeah, I'm gonna post in here the link for the YouTube video in Facebook and see if anyone goes on that. I think all you have to do is click the link and it brings you to YouTube.
Okay, yeah, I'll delete mine.
Okay, so I just put it in there, and I'm gonna just say listen live on YouTube. Click the link.
At everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's done. And now I'll try to do add everyone as well. All right. Anyway, so let's get some clarification. So you listen to a podcast. On the podcast, they were chatting about people who normally will take time off for any type of holiday or extended time off for whatever they decide. And
Yes.
then they take that time off, which they can because they're owners of their company. They could do whatever they want, but then they lose momentum, and sometimes it hurts them rather than help them, even though it might help them to recharge and that kind of thing. But in the long run, the business suffers.
Yeah, and then I think us personally we suffer. So, think about that. It got me thinking, and he used this term. We have 2 holidays in the month of December.
Right.
3-ish, maybe if you count New Year or Christmas Eve. So you have maybe Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that would be 2, and then New Year's Eve.
Right.
But yet, rather than celebrating 3 holidays, some people turn it into a HOLIWEEK, and then, like he had said before, they turn it into a HOLIMONTH.
Right. So the HOLIWEEK is what I do because I'm closed Christmas Eve through New Year's Day.
But that doesn't mean that you still can't separate yourself from everyone else. And so I went through, and I because his podcast inspired me, I went through and I decided I'd like to talk about 3 different areas that we actually can separate ourselves.
Okay.
And so the first area is within our health.
Okay.
So, really, again, you got 3 holidays that you could decide to gorge.
Right.
But what most people do is they go, okay, it's the holiday month or the holiday season, and they just decide that they let their nutrition go out the door. They're like, I'm just going to eat what I want, do what I want, all of those things.
Right.
When, really, if you want to separate yourself from the pack, you decide to do something different than what everybody else is doing. Now, that's not to say that on the actual holiday that you can't have a little bit of everything, but maybe what you do is you portion it out.
Right.
Or you decide, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to have that pie, or I'm not going to have whatever you would deem good for you to separate yourself.
Right.
If you're looking for some advice, the advice for me or from me would be, look, eat 6 small meals a day. Don't change your routine. Eat 2.5 to 3 hours in between each of those meals. Make sure that you're getting at least 1 gram of protein per pound of what you weigh. So, if you're weighing 150, then you need at least 150 grams of protein. If you're at 175, then you need 175, and so on. And that's just the bare minimum to, maintain the muscle mass and everything that you have. That's not on top of if you're working out. And then get at least 64 ounces of water. But I would push you to get at least 100 ounces of water every single day to separate yourself from everyone else. So that's the first thing that you can do in this separation season, is to dial in your nutrition and don't fall victim to what everybody else is falling to. Second is exercise. So 2 most important things. Number 1, strength training. As we get older, every decade after age 30, we're losing 8%, potentially. We're losing 8% of our muscle mass. And so that's our gold. After age 30, that's gold to us. And so we've got to maintain that gold, or we have to build it up even more if we've never built it up before. So over this holiday season, make sure that you're getting in your exercise. Get your strength training at least 2 to 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be forever. I mean, you go in for a half an hour and get everything that you need on a bare minimum. And then, at least 2 days of some pretty good cardio, but try to get 10,000 steps every single day.
Yeah.
So we've got nutrition for your health. We've got exercise for your health. So separate. Again, this is a separation season. Separate yourself from everybody else. The third part with your health is your sleep.
Yeah.
So you need 8 hours of sleep, 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Um, but if you really want to separate yourself, not only do you want to get the hours in, you want to go to bed at the same time every evening, and then you want to wake up at the same time every day. And how many people don't do that on the holidays? They're off, they stay up late, they sleep in early, or they sleep in late, and then their day's all messed up. They go, wow, I got to sleep in today, but now they only have 2/3 of the day left.
Right, right.
So if you really want to dial in your sleep, number one, try to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. But number two, go to bed at the same time each night and wake up at the same time each morning. And then lastly, these are just mine and you can chime in. But lastly, with regards to your health, prayer and meditation, taking time to just, soak in your spiritual well-being, whatever that is. Soak in your spiritual well-being, or if you're not a spiritual person, maybe shift that to your personal development well-being. I look at personal development in a spiritual aspect as well.
Right.
But it could be, I'm going to do 20 minutes each day in XYZ. So whether it's reading a personal development book, praying, reading scripture, meditate, whatever it is, but that part of you, that spiritual part of you, that well-being part of you, that mental part of you needs that as well. So those are my top 4 with regards to separation with your health. Did you want to add anything with the health part?
No, not really. Being a vegan, a lot of my philosophies are, not a lot, but some of them are slightly different as far as protein intake and all that other stuff. But in regards to what you just said, I'm trying to think of how do we clearly, because people are listening because they're martial arts school owners, and what you had just told them is probably great because they need to stay in shape and get in shape and be back in shape as martial artists, right? So that's the key in part is health, fitness, et cetera, right? So how would you take what you just talked about and possibly incorporate that into your business? The HOLIWEEK, the HOLIMONTH, the holiday, the holi quarter and year. You know what I mean? Like how do people see that as school owners and be able to figure that out in regards to their business?
Well, you can do your own research online. Are you talking like actionable steps?
Well, what your thoughts are on just breaking that down so that they could understand what we're talking about in a business sense.
Yeah. Obviously if your health isn't dialed in, your business is going to suffer.
Right. But how many people do we know that are overweight, fat, and out of shape, on the verge of a heart attack, but they're running businesses as well? And they haven't, isn't that, what's that old saying? It costs you a hell of a lot less. And by the way, this as a health coach, right? A hell of a lot less to take care of your health now than it would later on to try to repair your health.
Yeah.
And get back in shape, or, after the heart attack or whatever.
Well, and one of my speeches that I do in my field trips is I talk about everything in life has a price. Right. And so I tell the kids that, I go, do you realize that everything in life has a price? And they're like, yeah, everything in life has a price. I go, in order to get good grades in school, I said, do you know what the first price you have to pay? And they all look at me. I go, you have to pay attention. And I said, some kids are too poor to pay attention. I don't know how that works, but that's true. Some kids are too poor to pay attention. But the first price you have to pay in school is you have to pay attention. The second price you have to pay is you got to do your home work. But then I tell them, you got a problem though. See, you could either go home and do your homework, or you could go outside and play with your friends, or you could go home and do your homework, or you could get on those video games, or you could go home and do your homework, or you could get on the income suppressant. You guys know what the income suppressant is, don't you? And they all look at me like, what? I go, in my day, it used to be called television. In your day, it's called YouTube. And then I say, I'll point to a kid and I'll say, hey, you mind being an example for me? I said, it's a bad example, but do you mind being an example? And they go, sure. So I bring the kid up. I say, hey, how old are you? What's your name? Johnny. Okay, Johnny, how old are you? 8. Okay, great. Johnny, what grade are you in? I'm in 3rd grade. See, boys and girls, Johnny decides today that he's not going to go home and do his homework. No, he's going to go home and play with his friends. He's going to get on the video games. He's going to get on the income suppressant, which you guys call YouTube. Now let's fast forward 20 years from now. How old is Johnny? 28, sir. Yeah, Johnny's 28. I said, you guys realize that they don't pay 28-year-olds with almost a third grade education very much money? See, Johnny, he has no money. He hasn't eaten in a week. You guys are hungry when you miss one meal. Johnny hasn't eaten in a week. I mean, he's hungry.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at me, right? I say, but Johnny goes, oh my gosh, I forget my best friend lives around the corner. I say, Johnny, what's one of your best friend's names? He goes, Matt. I go to I got a wall that when I'm doing the speech, I got a wall right there, and I knock on the wall and I go, and Matt opens the door and says, Johnny, what are you doing? And Johnny goes, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a week. And he's like, come on in. He feeds him, right? And then, Johnny's walking out all fat and sassy by the end of the night, goes to bed, nice and full, has a good night's sleep, wakes up the next morning, goes all day without eating. Now he's hungry again, and it's nighttime. But like any good dog does, it always goes back where it got fed. So it goes back to Johnny goes back to Matt's house, knocks on the door. Matt opens up the door and says, hey, what are you doing here again? He's like, I haven't eaten all day. Matt says, come on in. He feeds him again. And I look at Johnny. I said, no, Johnny, I know Matt is a really good friend, but how long is he going to let you mooch off of him? I mean, how many more times is he going to let you eat off of his plate and rob his refrigerator of the food that you didn't pay for?
Right.
And then they give me a number. And then I say, you know what, boys and girls, you see, you either are going to pay the price now or you're going to pay it later.
Right.
Now, when is it more expensive to pay the price? Is it more expensive to pay it now, or is it more expensive to pay it later? And they go, later, sir. I said, that's right. And then there's other parts to it. I say all of that because our decisions are basically payment. Like, we're going to pay the price for our decisions. If we decide not to take control of our health, we're eventually going to pay the price.
Right.
When is it more expensive? Always more expensive to pay the price later when we ignore what we're supposed to do. And I even tell the kids this. I said, boys and girls, if you pay the price now, you're going to get to enjoy the benefits later. And that's the same thing for us as school owners. If we pay the price now, if we take our health under control, our nutrition, our exercise, our sleep, our personal development, our prayer, meditation, if we take and pay the price now, we get to enjoy the benefits later.
Right.
That's why this is so important. I don't know how I can sell it to school owners any more important than that.
Well, I think I could help you with breaking that down a little. And I think it was pretty clear with the story about what we need to do now versus what we'll do later. And a lot of times as a coach, and I do like 6 coaching calls per week with clients that I've been coaching. One as long as 11 years I've been coaching them.
Wow.
Every single week, 11 years. We still keep on going. And it's funny, I've seen growth, I've seen decline, I've seen build up, but most overall success with this one particular client where he's really doing well. But what I see a lot of, and this is a big error I feel for a lot of school owners, is they don't take the time out of their day to organize their day. In other words, they don't take the time to say, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow, the next day, and set it out ahead of time? Because what they basically are doing is kind of flowing with the mood of the day. What should I do today? And then you get into the habit of doing what's easiest or what's most comfortable. And I often, and I haven't done this in a while with my clients, but I used to do a week's long worth of journaling where they would write down everything they do from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to bed. I mean, literally write down everything. I was in the bathroom from 9:15 to 9:30. I don't need to know the details of what went on in there, but at the same time, I want to get time signatures on what they're doing every single half hour, 15, 20 minutes. And then we look at that day, and then we do it again the next day. And we do that for an entire week, 7 to 10 days at minimum. And then we look at it all and we say, okay, like, what are your patterns? What are you missing? What are you not doing? What are your time wasters? Like I had one client that was spending an hour and a half in the bathroom, but he was watching YouTube videos while doing his thing, right? and he would stay in there, and that was part of his quiet time. Like, I just read some sort of review about like how many people hide in the bathroom to get away from the stress of their everyday life, whether it be at work or at home. right? And I said, that's one good thing about being a vegan, like you're in and out of the bathroom, right? But as far as time wasters, there's a lot of them in our daily schedule. We could get very caught up in these habits of doing things that are not beneficial to our own, to ourselves and to our business. And if we could only shift those empty blocks of time that have been wasted on YouTube or going down a rabbit hole of something that's not necessary, and fill that with simple activities, like let's just say calling all your existing students or text messaging them on Spark, just to say, good job, you've been doing great. How are things going? Do you have any questions? Doing that every single week. By the way, with the technology that you and I have with Spark and anyone else using Spark, it's very easy to get that text message. You could have predetermined, set, organized, automatic text. You could just select it and you could communicate with your clients. If you're doing that 5 days a week for only a half hour, you'll get through your entire 200, 300 clients pretty easily and quickly. And what do you think about that? Don't you think that that would help your business, retention, and all that other stuff, right? It's quite amazing, yet we don't do it.
Yeah, everything is improved upon and built upon by inches.
Right.
Not by feet, not by yards, not by miles, but by inches. It is the boring, consistent daily actions that will make you successful. It's not all of a sudden you win the lotto and you got the $10 million or whatever it is. It's hey, I started my retirement back when I was 18 and I kept putting in 10% of my earnings every single check.
Right.
And so you're building it by inches. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's a perfect example. My daughter, I'm very proud of her. She's already at 24 amassed a good savings. And she's still churning out a full-time job at Macy's and also doing a side hustle or two, making money. I mean, not a lot, but making money right here and there. But she's saving. I keep saying to her, like, where can we put this money to make you even more money? So she has a lot of it in a high interest yielding savings account that she's getting 5.4% interest on. And her and I are both in the same bank. So at the end of the month, we're like, it's the 30th of the month. On the 31st, we're going to get our interest, right? Or the first. We look, and then if she's not with me, she's at her mom's or something like that. I text her, this is how much I made this month on interest alone. And how much did you do? We get excited about it. So it's about prepping ahead of time and knowing. So here's my bit of advice for the, the topic, HOLIWEEK, HOLIMONTH, whatever, right? The quarters. I think that it's important for us to start thinking ahead. Like, you could take the week off, and that could be your week between Christmas and New Year's, but you still should have some things that you should be doing to prepare for the new year.
Well, right. Yeah.
Ahead.
But that doesn't mean you got to let your health suffer.
Oh, of course not.
So you brought up your daughter, right?
Yeah.
The second part to this is your family. So how do you create this separation season with your family? Meaning creating separation moments, doing something maybe this year that you've never done with your family before. Something that can really create this separation for your family. Like, so for instance, maybe you donate your time to feed the homeless. You never did that before. Maybe that's something you go and do. Heck, maybe you go back to church or maybe you go to church for the first time, whatever it is. But, or you know what, as a family, we're going to eat dinner every single night together. Because, as I know, as a school owner, we can't do that all the time because we're out on the floor teaching.
Yeah.
So if we have that time off, we can utilize that to separate ourselves and use that season of separation and go, now we're going to have family time. I know it's only this week, but that gives you that's probably the biggest thing I regret when building my school was the fact that at least 5 nights out of 7, I was not at the dinner table. And there were so many conversations that I missed.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is, you can invite a neighbor, a friend, someone that doesn't spend holiday time with people or doesn't have family members in town. It doesn't have to be on the actual holiday, but you can say, hey, we're having a dinner Friday night or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
bring somebody else into your family,
Right.
share time and a meal with them. But really in all of this, try to come up with some separation moments, things that you can do with your family that you've never done before, that will separate you from your past you. Does that kind of make
Right.
sense?
Totally does. In fact, as I get older, I'll be 59 in a few months, and I'm very aware of this concept because I've I've seen like many of my friends or martial art masters that I know, that are up high older than me pass away. Some younger than me like that pass away. I've had, you get those notices on Facebook, so
Yep.
and so died, and I'm like, wow, they were younger than me. Like what happened? You want to know like what happened? Was it something that they could have changed, or was it just something that you can't change, like cancer and out of the blue? But I've been very aware of taking that time, and I love what you're saying, doing things that are not the norm. Because every night we have dinner, we sit down, watch our TV shows together. Me, my wife, and my daughter. Sometimes her mom as well, who lives downstairs from us. But I also like we're going to see. I don't know if you ever heard of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They're like this rock and roll, like heavy metal, like orchestra. And my guitar instructor actually plays in the band. So first time I got tickets this year. So we're going to see them play. And it's like a big extravaganza. It's like some amazing fireworks and explosions and fog and the Christmas music, right? So I wanted to do that. And I'm a sucker for like watching Christmas movies with the family. Like my daughter's like, oh God, he's crying again. Like I got a tissue. I'm like crying. That was from the onions that I cooked at dinner. Like,
That's
what
right.
I mean? Like, but we have to. I mean, I can't stress this enough to younger school owners, from let's say 20 to 40 years old, that enjoy your life, take the time, the old work 24/7, 7 days a week to get where you got to go, so that when you're there, you could then share that time with your family. And I could tell you, not one child would rather have more money or a richer dad and, a prettier car to drive around in, or time with their parents. They
Yep.
would every time choose more time with their families. Doesn't matter how much money you have if you're not spending it. And did you see the new Stallone documentary on Netflix called Sly?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I saw that it's there. I put it on a watch list.
Yeah, very good. Like he says one thing which I thought was so powerful. He says from the ages of 0 to 40, you're counting forward. He says from the ages of 41 to 70, you start subtracting. Like, you're like, okay, 41, I'm 42, like boom. And then you hit the 40s and you start subtracting and going like, I only have 40 years left. If you're going to live to 80, 38, 35, 33 more Christmases, 30 more Christmases, like that's it, and you start subtracting because your life is on the subtraction path, right? Because you only have a certain amount of time to live, right?
Yes.
So it's important for us as school owners to realize that. And I think that's your point of this entire podcast too, is to really understand that time is limited and we have to enjoy our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, within reason, but everything yes. So that's the family separation.
Right.
And this third one that I wanted to bring up is, this again, this tis the season of separation, is with regards to your business. Now, I know that you close for about a week, right?
Yeah, I do. I close for the whole week.
Yeah, we close for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yes. So
you're actually like a legend at our breakfast table with me and my friends that we get together every Wednesday. And they're like, your friend Dwayne, right? He closes for 2 weeks out of the year. And I'm like, none of them really even have met you. I don't think. Some of them I might have. But they're like, you're legendary when it comes to that stuff at our table.
So, well, that's kind of funny, but I can't take credit for it because it was, you remember Mike Price?
I do know the name. I forget though.
I met him through PPP and Member Solutions.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it?
Payments processing systems, PPS.
PPS. Yes, PPS.
Yeah.
That's what it was. PPP was the loan we got.
Right.
So, but anyways, yes, that's where, because I had called him on the phone. I talked to Joe Gallia because Joe told me about that Mike closes for 2 weeks. So I got him on the phone and I said, "How did you do it, Mike?"
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says, "I just did it."
Yeah.
And then he goes, "I tell everybody that, my," and then of course we talked about the other times of the years that he's closed. And he said, I base my tuition not on a 52-week year, but on a 48-week year.
Okay.
I've since moved it. It's not a 52-week year. It's a 46-week year, just because we
Okay.
close a lot more. But anyways, I digress. But I wanted to give homage to, the person that actually
Yeah.
helped me through that. So with regards to your business, separating yourself from your business, number one, yes, you need to take time off. I get that. And you should. But it doesn't mean, kind of like what Ali talked about with regards to tracking your time, doesn't mean that you need to take sections of your day and just dawdle and not do things. We
Right.
need to close the year out strong. So I'm saying work your butt off until your studio closes,
Right.
so that you set yourself up for success when you reopen. And so I just want to give out some small things. Number one, do everything that you normally have been doing, but do it better. Do it more efficiently. Do it faster if you can. Second is try to, if you can, build better connections with your students. So
Right.
one way that you can do this is to actually send handwritten Christmas cards to each family. Doesn't have to be to each individual student. So yes, you may, let's say you have 100 students, but you really only have, 85 families. So
Right.
that's 85 that you need to do. And you need to get those started ASAP, because you want them to get there before Christmas, obviously.
Right.
Second thing you can do is you can actually shoot a personal video. Just you already have a list of who you're going to send
Right.
a Christmas card to,
Yeah.
for your families. Shoot a personal video to each of those different families, and then send that to them before the 25th.
Right.
That's all you got to do. After you make it, send it. So if you have 85, you look at the week, you got 3 weeks to send it or whatever, then you break that down. I'm going to do it, Monday through Friday, and I'm only going to do 10 a day or whatever it is. I don't have the math in my head what it is, but you can break it down. It becomes super simple at that point.
Right.
That's separation. You probably have never done that before. The next one you can do is, Facebook is beautiful. Do pre-birthday messages. Start it this month. Do pre-birthday messages. Everybody does a happy birthday on the birthday, right? And so
Right.
I don't know how many, a lot of people, I don't know how many birthday messages you get. I get a lot. You probably get more than I do. And you can never respond. Like it takes you forever to respond. It takes me a week to respond back to everybody.
Right. Right.
And I do that, but it takes me a week to get through all of those.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of clutter. Do the day before. So send them a private message through Facebook, through Messenger,
Right.
wishing them happy birthday. Separate yourself from the pack. Start doing that. Do that every day, but you do a pre-birthday message.
Right.
And I'm not just talking to your students. Everybody that's on that list, do a pre-birthday message to. You're going to separate yourself.
Right.
Bump up your marketing for Christmas and New Year's. Do it now. Don't slow it down. Even when you're closed, you should still have your automations firing. You should still have your marketing firing.
Right.
A lot of school owners, they take a break and they pull back from doing that. Don't do that. I think one of the things that helped Allie and I is, when COVID hit, not to bring up the C word, but when COVID hit, the fact that we actually did more marketing, paid marketing,
Yes.
than our competition in our area did. And so we were seen a lot more. So this is the same thing. And then one other one with regards to your business, and I'll let you chime in because I've been throwing a lot out.
That's okay.
Is every year we do a virtual holiday or Christmas scavenger hunt. And so we have different Christmas items they have to find in their house. So it has to be go find me a Grinch, go find me a stocking, go find me, different holiday themed things. Um, and then they got to bring it back to the camera. And then they only have a minute to do all of those things. And if they do it within that minute, they got a sheet of paper they mark down. And I think there's like 50 items we find in a 60-minute time span that were online. And then they have to, because we have Spark, they have to message us via the app how many they found within that 60 seconds of each one. And then you can do different prizes. You can do one prize for the person that found the most, or you could do tiered prizes. Like, okay, anybody that finds all, anybody that finds all 50, they get the grand prize. And then, you could do 45, or let's say 40 through 49 would get this, and 30 through 39 get this. Like you can be creative.
Yeah.
And we've done it before where we actually drive it to their house, over the Christmas season, and bring it to them. Like we say, we're going to be out this day between this time and this time, or this day between this time and this time, which day works and time, works better for you. But we've also done it where, they pick it back up at the studio when we reopen. So however you wanted to do it, but those are some ideas. But don't back off the business. Yes, take time away, but don't back off the business.
You know what we did during COVID? I think you did it as well, but I know with us, we did the scavenger hunt, and then I worked out a deal with a pizza parlor, and I got them to deliver the raw ingredients of the dough, the cheese, the sauce, the sprinkled seasoning, and they delivered it for me to the house. And I think it was like $7 or $8, right, for the people, right, to deliver it. And then they got to make their own pie. And then they took pictures of the pie, and they showed me, like, some of them made them in shapes and pepperoni, things to make it like smiley faces. And that was during COVID. That was a real fun event. And we did, look, if I paid for 40 pies with delivery, let's say I was paying $8, what was that? $250 out of my pocket. But it was a great event that we did. And we did a few events similar to that. And that kind of brings up some good ideas, though, Dwayne. Like, so COVID's not here, but we learned a lot from that. And that was like, okay, now if we do it now, we're there at home, we could still do this type of scavenger hunt via Zoom. And we're coming into their house. They get to spend the Friday night. Maybe the siblings are there that don't train. The mom and dad, they're a part of it all, right? So now we're coming into their house, and we're doing something different than just coming to the dojo, doing your kicking and punching, grabbing your gear bag and going home, and repeating the process 3 days a week. We're now kind of going into their home and hanging out with them a little.
It absolutely, it's a blast. My wife and I, we set my office up. I put like a little space heater that looks like a fireplace. And then we dim the lights. We're both wearing our Christmas stuff with our hats, like goofy hats or whatever. And it's a blast.
I love it. That's a great idea. I hope that people will hear that, because I wrote it down. I wrote down 2 things, set up a calendar. I can't see with my lighting. I got to set my calendar up to make sure that everyone knows we're closed on Spark, so that people are not signing up for trial classes and setting up appointments and we're not there. Then they'll become disappointed and go to the next school. And then the holiday scavenger hunt, or any kind of day, it doesn't have to be Christmas, or it could be January, in the middle of January. And, you do stuff like that creates a bond in your school.
Yeah, it's a blast. And then I will tell you, like, for that 60 seconds, I've got a speaker, and what I do is I play different holiday or Christmas song for that 60 seconds while they're going to try to find it. So they hear that music through their speakers, and then when time's up, the music stops. So that's another little added thing that we do.
Right. So I like it.
I want to encourage everyone that this can be the season of separation for you. The 3 categories, or the 3 areas that you can separate yourself from everyone else. Number 1 is your health. Number 2 is your family. And then number 3 is your business. I would love to encourage you all to, to add to this. If there's something else that you think of, post it in our Facebook group. Maybe maybe what we do is we take this and, once this is done, we can, put something in the comments, like with regards to that, like add other separations that you're going to do for your health, for your
Right.
family, for your business. That would be interesting to see what some other people come up with, because I know, when you and I talk, when me and Kenny talk, even when I talk to my staff, because just the other day, just yesterday, I was talking to them about some private lesson stuff, and I had called you
Yeah.
about the private lessons. Mr. Bean and Mr. Kent were there, and we just had a little mastermind, all three of us, and they were bringing up stuff that I might have thought of later on, but I didn't think of at the time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or maybe I wouldn't have thought of.
Right.
So, this can be a little synergistic for us, a little mastermind, if you will, where we can all encourage one another with our health, our family, and then also our business this season.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? That's why in the beginning I brought this up. I said I wanted to kind of almost clarify, because people, it doesn't matter, how smart they are, how good they are. It's sometimes we think very linearly, right? Like we're like, this is where we're going and that's it, right? Nothing kind of comes off. Like, remember recently within one of our last few podcasts, we talked about so many ways to maximize a lead. And what is a lead actually? Are they like just a lead because they want to join your school, but then they don't join your school? Do you throw them away? And we talked about how they could be a lead for private lessons, for summer camp, for self-defense seminars, right? Like that lead is never a dead lead until they say, hey, Dwayne, take me off your list and stop bothering me, right? So we look at that and we say, okay, like here now, I think that as school owners, we have to really be careful that we don't limit ourselves by our mindset, right? And say, okay, what can I do to market? Well, I can only do YouTube, Google AdWords, and my website. No, it's a million things you could be doing. But the real question is, are you going to do it? Are you going to take the time, the energy, and go out there and get it done? It's like my students, and I'm sure your students, they probably train 2 or 3 days a week, but do they train at home at all? Do they pick up their weapons? Do they practice? Do they take notes? If not, they're only doing minimum of 2 hours a week, 8 hours a month. You're not going to get great that way. You got to put more time in. That's why baseball teams, soccer teams, they practice 3-4 days a week and do a game on the weekend.
You know what I was going to quickly say too is you could come up with a workout plan for your students over the holiday, and then have some sort of reward for them at the end when they turn it in. Or you could even create some remote virtual workouts or whatever. Like you could do that. You could do that as well.
We do that during snow closings. Like I'll send out a message, and on there it says shoveling snow burns X amount of calories per hour. You could do this, you could do that, sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks, bends and thrusts. And it's a little like, hey, if you don't want to come, you can't come to the dojo because we're closed, you could still exercise within your house. Like we have a nice little gym in our house, and my wife is like, now she wants a treadmill. And I'm like, she has the Peloton bike and all this other stuff. And now she's like, I would just like a treadmill. I want variety. I'm like, the treadmill she's looking at, I actually had one like about 4 or 5 years ago and sold it for $50, paid like $1,400, sold it for $50 because I just didn't want it around anymore. Now she wants to buy the same treadmill. And now we're going to spend like $1,100 on this stupid treadmill. But you got to have variety.
Well, you do. You need to spice it up a little bit. But I tell our students that neutral is the enemy.
Right.
For us, think of it as complacency.
Mm-hmm.
Complacency is the enemy. And I tell the kids, it's neutral is the enemy. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. If you think that you're in neutral, lying to yourself.
Right.
Because if I stood here, and this is what I tell the kids, if I stood here and I fart, you don't hear it, but I fart.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, even though it looks like there is no wind, at some point, that fart is going to waft somewhere. It doesn't stay neutral.
Yeah.
So neutral is your enemy. Like if it stayed neutral, then that fart, that smell is going to stay around you all the time.
Yeah.
Until you move. Now, the nice thing about moving backwards is then it's on your radar. Like it alerts you. You go, oh my gosh, I'm losing students. Something isn't right.
Right.
Moving forward, you have that momentum that alerts you. You're like, yeah, I'm moving forward. I'm gaining students. Neutral is the enemy. Because when you are neutral, when you're complacent,
Right.
if you're neutral on your health, if you're neutral on your family, if you're neutral in your business, the problem is there's not going to be alerts until it's too late.
Right. Right.
So be consistently moving forward in those three areas, especially this time of year. Separate yourself from everybody else.
Right. Right. Yeah. So powerful. I think that without using the fart explanation,
Hey, look, I speak at a third grade level, man. I'm just
I'm
telling
sure
you.
the kids love that one in your class. And Mom, Master Brummett talked about farting today in class, right? Like there you go. And now you got to explain that to 20 parents and why you're talking about that. But you're
Well,
right.
no, the nice thing is all I do is just say, have you ever farted before? Yes. Yeah. Does it stay where it's at or does it waft?
Yeah.
Well, it wafts, yes, because either or. And then I just, and then the parents get it.
Right.
And I'll tell
Right.
you what, the parents never forget it.
Right. Exactly. That's
Yeah,
the truth.
look, my wife has warned me. She's like, you really got to get away from the poop and the butt jokes and the fart jokes and stuff like that. You really got to get away from that. And I go, no, that unfortunately or fortunately, that's how I know how to communicate. And that's what I've seen help stick people.
Yeah, that's true. So for school owners, let's just say, that's one of the struggles I find a big thing where we get very used to, complacent in our routine. And then like, I'll ask people, I'll say, hey, so-and-so, what have you done this week to market your school? Well, I have my Facebook and I have my website and no, what have you done this week above and beyond your regular machine that's running continuously? What are you doing above and beyond that to get new people in the door? And they're like, well, not really much. I go, well, if you really want way more people, do what you're doing, the automatic stuff that you don't have to touch, like, pay Gus Lopez from Lead Hunter Media to run your Facebook ads. And, if people needed me to help them with their Google ads, I do that for many clients, like 22 different schools that we run ads for them. Anyway, long story short, like what else are you doing? Are you on the pages? Are you on Facebook moms and dads of your town? Are you handing out VIP passes? Are you doing, by the way, one of my biggest and most successful VIP referral buddy week events was what we did last time, which was the International Martial Art Appreciation Day. It just kind of gave me this whole entire package of being able to talk about it, motivate people. We were giving t-shirts out and people were recommending friends and, bringing in 3, 4, 5 friends a week. It was a really big, exciting time. I almost want to do it again in a quarter, like, maybe in a few months from now. I think like things like that, that's what I mean about like, what are you doing today to market your school? What are you doing today? Like, for example, one of my clients I just talked to today, he's got a new program manager. He's been really aggressively going after old students, reaching out, talking to them, seeing why they quit, seeing if they'd like to come back for a month for free just to try it out. And he's gotten like 5 or 6 people within the last week that have said yes and have come in. Now, these are easier to sell people because they've done it before. They know what you're about. They've had fun. For whatever reason, they fell off and hadn't come back. And, so that's something that he's working hard on. I mean, we all have those lists.
Yes. So,
right?
Yeah. So let's pare it down to one phrase that I hear that you're saying is do one more thing.
Right.
In your health, do one more thing that's going to separate you. With your family, do one more thing that's going to separate you. In your business, do one more thing that's going to separate you every single day, every single week, throughout this whole month of separation. Separate yourself by doing one more thing. So with your nutrition, do one more thing that's going to enhance your nutrition. With your exercise, do one more rep or one more series of reps. Or with your sleep, get one more day of 8 to 9 hours of sleep. get one more sitting with reading your personal development book or praying or meditating.
Right.
With your family, get one more meal.
Right.
With them. Right. With your business, do one more marketing activity.
Mm-hmm.
Or do one more connection activity to your students. Do one more thing to separate yourself in these areas.
Right. I love it. Excellent.
All right, sir.
Great stuff. Yeah, it was a good call today. A good show. I really enjoyed it. I hope people watched it. I did see a few bubbles popping up for people who liked our comments on live on YouTube, which we're on right now. And we have some subscribers listening at the moment. And that's pretty cool to see that happening. And then it's also, the link is on Facebook. So hopefully they'll see the link, click on it, and watch it live on YouTube.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You have a great day, Dwayne. We'll talk soon, okay?
We probably will talk sooner than soon, because that's usually how that works with us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'll see you later.
Later, man.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Martial Arts School Owner Talk podcast. This would not be possible if it weren't for the support of our amazing sponsors. Please check out Elite Insights for all your website needs. They can be reached at eliteinsights.com. Add Health Coaching, helping school owners create a new and easy to implement revenue stream for your school. Visit addhealthcoaching.com. Lead Hunter Media, your online digital marketer and content provider. Visit leadhuntermedia.com. Academy Kings Growth Consulting and Management Group. They can be reached at academykings.com. And Spark Membership, hands down the best martial arts software for school owner management on the planet. They can be reached at sparkmembership.com. We will see you next time.